Hi, I have muscle tension dysphonia, and I thought I'd start this series just to tell you about it and tell you what my experience has been and kind of bring you with me on my journey, because I feel like I'm starting over again after having started over once already, or having started once already. So I guess I'll just tell you how it all happened, how I got diagnosed, and what muscle tension dysphonia is. I'm having a real bad night right now, which is why I thought I'd just start this from zero, where everything is bad, and then hopefully as this series progresses, I'll progress and I'll get better, and then I can maybe help you, if you're struggling with this too, with some tips and some ideas on how to get better yourself. Muscle tension dysphonia is a voice disorder where there's not actually anything wrong with your vocal cords, but the musculature around them is very tight, and it's subconsciously and unconsciously tight, and so it's pulling and pushing your vocal cords into strange shapes and positions that makes it harder for them to make sound, and increases the amount of effort it takes to talk and to make sound. And so the symptoms I'm having right now is it's really effortful for me to talk. And this is with me in a quiet room by myself, but if I'm in like a loud room, if I'm at church and in a restaurant or anything like that, it just takes an awful lot of effort for me to talk, because it feels like there is just this squeezing and pulling on my throat and my vocal cords, and it seems, right now it feels like I have to take more, I know you're supposed to breathe when you speak, but I feel like it takes more breath pressure for me just to push out sound. And whenever there are consonants that plosives and things that block the flow of air, it's really effortful for me to get those sounds out. And so sometimes I have to talk like this because the flow of air doesn't get stopped as much when I talk like that. So anyway, how did this all start? I've always sung. I sang in choirs when I was in college, and I've sung at church for many years. And so last summer, about 18 months ago, I was asked to sing and play the piano at a concert at our church. And I hadn't really been doing a lot of singing, and I have a job where I don't have to talk a lot, so my vocal cords hadn't been getting a lot of exercise. I'm a computer programmer, so I don't spend my days talking on the phone and talking like this. This is a lot of talking for me right now, so hopefully I don't get too tired before I'm done telling you this. But so I got asked to do this concert. I really didn't want to do it. I just wasn't in the right headspace to do it, but I agreed to anyway because there was kind of some pressure to do it. So anyway, we're rehearsing at my dad's house, and I was playing the piano, and then there were also guitars and basses and a lot of amplified instruments, and then I was singing a song that was fairly high in my register. I'm a tenor, and I did not have a mic, and we were rehearsing without mics, but all the instruments were amplified, and so I was singing fairly loud. I was pushing a lot. And then there was a song that called for a high A, which is a high note. And so I'm playing the piano, I'm also singing, and I'm singing loudly, and I reach up for that A. I wasn't prepared because I was distracted by playing and singing, and so I just kind of reached up for that A out of nowhere, and I smacked it, and something went a little wrong. It took an awful lot of throat tension for me to hit that note. And so got done with the rehearsal, and the next day my voice was tired, and I thought, okay, I overdid it a little bit last night, that's fine. And I was tired for a day or two, and 3. And then I went out to a bar the next night, and I was really having to push to make myself heard. I have a quiet voice naturally, so I was really having to push to make myself heard over the din of the bar. And then it never recovered. I just had this tiredness and this tension, which would not go away for quite a while, probably a week. And so I went to the ENT, and I decided to get scoped. And the ENT here in town isn't one that does like the video scope, or I had never seen that before. All he did was like he had this little camera that was on a fiber optic thing, and he just stuck it up my nose and looked with his eye and said, oh, you know, maybe there's a little inflammation. Don't sing at the concert and just take it easy for a little bit and you'll be fine. So I did, and I didn't sing at the concert, and it wasn't getting better, and I thought I had done some serious damage to my vocal cords, and so I decided to do strict vocal rest, because that's what I've always been told by voice teachers and all that stuff, is you think you've injured yourself, you shut up. So I did. I shut up. It was July 4th, and I just stopped talking, and I didn't go to my family gathering on July 4th, and I didn't talk for probably a week or something like that. I just worked from home and stayed quiet. You know, whenever I had never done that before, and whenever you take so much time on vocal rest, then it's hard to get your voice going again after it's over. So then for the next couple of days I was weak, and I could barely, you know, phonate. I could barely even just make a sound, and it was that was distressing, because I've never had voice problems before. So after a couple of days, I think my voice kind of started to come back. I could sweep, I could do that again. And my voice teacher friend said she didn't think there was anything injured, because I could still do a smooth glissando from. So, fine, but my voice is still, there's still something majorly wrong with my voice, and there's no data on the internet that I could find about what might be wrong with it. So I did lots of research, and I thought, well, I don't think I have nodules. They would have seen them, but how do I know? Maybe I have vocal cancer, maybe I have something, I had no idea. And then like months went by, and I just never got better. And you see right now I'm getting these little catches in my throat. It's kind of like when you have like a small portable personal fan, and the blade is spinning really fast, and then you touch it to your skin and it like scratches you. That's what feels like happens if I try to push my voice at all. It feels like there's a little scratch, and then it catches, and then the sound just stops like that. But that's only really when I'm tired. And I'm tired now because I just went to church, and I didn't do much singing, but I had to talk to people. And I hate talking. I hate trying to do small talk when I'm like this, because I'm already an introvert. It's already like a mental effort for me to do small talk, but then when also I have to count every word because each word hurts, I just want to get out of there. So, back to the story. I think it was late summer. I talked to a friend of mine, and he mentioned that, hey, maybe you actually, he read about this in some voice course in college, maybe you actually pulled a muscle, like one of these extrinsic laryngeal muscles. And he said, if that's the case, there's nothing you can do except wait. And it takes a long time for them to heal. I thought, well, darn, if that's the case, I'm not sure what I'll do. And there's no one who knows. Like, my voice, I did a lesson with my voice teacher friend, and she did her best, but she didn't know what muscle tension dysphonia was, and neither did I at that point. And so I thought, I guess, and I tried another voice teacher. It was no help. And I don't live in a big city, so like I didn't know where to turn. Like, maybe there were experts who knew something about these infrahyoids and suprahyoids and all these muscles in here and how to fix them, but I don't know how to find that person. So I was just really discouraged and depressed, and I started just isolating myself, and I would stay away from my friends, and my friends would be calling and texting, and I would just tell them, sorry, I can't go out, I can't see you, I can't even talk. And I could talk, I could talk like this, but it was just so horrible that I couldn't bear it. It made me really depressed to get together with people, because then I had to be a jerk, I had to be really taciturn, and just try, because I still wasn't convinced, that I didn't know for sure that there wasn't something wrong with my vocal cords, so I thought, gosh, every word I say is injuring me worse. So finally, 5 months later, November comes, and I finally got in to see an ENT who did, so I stumbled upon an article on the internet about muscle tension dysphonia, and I thought, gosh, this sounds like what I have. So I found a doctor who actually does video laryngostroboscopy in his office. And the day I went in, I was worse than I am right now. I was so tense, I could barely talk like this. And I went in there and I told him my story, and he said, well, let's have a look. And he put the camera in and did the strobe, and he said, wow, look at you. So your vocal cords, when you're breathing, when you're not talking, they're like this, but then when you talk or sing, they go like this, and then the air flows through and they vibrate. Well, my voice box was and is pinched from front to back. So this is the front and this is the back. Trying to force sound out is like working against these muscles that are pulling it into a bow shape like this. And he told me, you have muscle tension dysphonia. Your vocal cords are perfectly healthy. So that was a load off my mind. I think I went out to the car and cried after that. But you have to do speech therapy because you have to train your brain not to have this anymore, not to whatever it is, maybe you had an injury, maybe you pulled a muscle, maybe you actually did some damage to your vocal cords, but whatever happened, your brain got this pattern of, oh gosh, I got to protect myself by doing this. So I did. I started speech therapy, and the speech therapist is like an hour from here. So I went down, I don't know, once a week for a while, and she had me doing exercises which were sweeping glissandos and She also had me doing stretching, which was just turning your head to the side and hold it for a few seconds. I'm just demonstrating. This one really feels tight even now. And so those kind of things, also some manual manipulation of me just taking my voice box and moving it back and forth. And also trying to learn healthier ways to produce sound. And it was hard for me to stick to it. I did my best, and gradually, over a couple of months, 3 months, started to get better until February. So this is, bear in mind, this is 8 months in. I was starting to feel better, and it was starting to be more functional. And so we eventually said, well, we've probably done all we can do here with the therapy. So I stopped it. And spring came, and summer came, and I was fairly well back to normal. I would say I was 96% back to normal. I still was cautious because it was still, on good days, which were most days, I could even raise my voice a little bit and talk loud and talk across the office at someone in the kitchen. But I had to be careful, and I feel like I never quite got over the phase where I had to be a little careful. So then, fast forward to this past August, 4 months ago, I went on a car trip with my friend, which was a 2.5-hour car ride, and we talked the whole way down there. And I was fine. I had done a lot of talking over the summer, but then that kind of snapped it. Something went wrong again. And so the next morning I woke up and I could even taste, not only was my voice tired, but I could even taste blood, and that really freaked me out. I could taste a few drops of blood in my throat. And I thought, oh, now I've done it. Now I've got a vocal hemorrhage or something like that. So I was flipped out. I thought, this isn't muscle tension dysphonia, this is something worse. I really injured myself this time. I did some more vocal rest, it didn't help. And then I was, again, I had to deal with coming back on from vocal rest, which is traumatizing. And so then, September, October, I kind of, it gets a little better and then it gets worse, and then it gets better and then it gets worse. And sometimes I can sing and sometimes I don't feel like singing. And my voice never really sounds too much different. Right now it sounds very strained. But I can still sing. And I feel like singing kind of releases tension. Maybe my singing technique is better than my singing technique is way better than my speaking technique. Because doesn't sound too bad. But for some reason, when I'm talking, there's so much more tension. And so I thought my vocal cords were injured for sure this time because I had the blood taste a couple times. So I begged. There was a 6-week wait to get in to the ENT, and I called around. I called different doctors, and then I finally called one, and I begged, and I said, "Listen, I'm in a dark place, and I cannot wait over a month for this appointment. Please, whatever you can do." So she said, "I can squeeze you in tomorrow." So I went in October, and he looked at me and he said, "You don't have any vocal cord damage. It's just muscle tension dysphonia still." And I thought, I already did this. I already did the therapy. I was over it, not completely, but I was functional. I was almost good. I was almost back to normal, but not completely. So now, here I am, and I still have it. And then it got a little better. I was gonna start the speech therapy again, and then it got better, and then it got worse. And then it depends on the day. Some days are really good. Some days I start out talking to somebody and we have a conversation. It's like someone is strangling me. But like last weekend I went camping and I couldn't get out of the car with my friend, so we're having this conversation, and like gradually things started to feel a little better, and like at the end of the evening I was fairly good again. And so sometimes I can just like talk through it, and maybe the talking like pulls these muscles or loosens them, or it might be psychological too. Like I get anxious, and like if I'm talking to someone, especially if they're not a family member or a close friend, I just kind of get a little anxiety, maybe. So yeah, this is where I am. I'm starting the speech therapy again on Tuesday. It's Thursday right now, so a few days from now I'm going to go back down there, and I'm going to say, "Listen, I did this before. I didn't feel like it was 100% effective. What else is there?" I'm looking right now for I want someone to actually massage my throat. I don't want to do it myself. Because I read an article about some doctor in Ohio who did this for patients, did his own manual lip manipulation, and in 7 minutes he cured a woman's voice. And if I could get someone to do that, who knows how to do that for me, I would totally do that. So that I want to talk about. I've even heard that sometimes they inject Botox into the muscles just so they will calm down and stop pulling. And I feel like I'm almost to that point, do something, because the stretching, the therapy is nice, but it doesn't really address the issue. I feel like it's always on this side. If I push here, I can feel a little tenderness. And what I feel like is maybe when I hit that high note, my muscle developed a trigger point. Your muscles are usually like this, but then sometimes they get a really tight band that pulls them shorter. They get like a knot in the muscle. It happens all over. It happens pretty much any muscle in your body. Why couldn't it happen in these really small muscles here? And so it feels like some muscle in there is shortened on one side, and I imagine in my mind that my vocal cords are there's this tension and it's pulling them, and so they're off kilter, and then when they vibrate, I feel the scratching of one of them against the other, or that's what it's like. So I'm just gonna go in there and lay it out and say, what else is there? Because if this is how my voice is gonna be forever, where I can't sing and I can't enjoy conversation anymore, I can't accept that. So anyway, that's episode 1. I know it's a lot, but I'm gonna do a few of these. I'll do one maybe after my voice therapy next week, and just kind of keep you updated. And I hope if you're dealing with this too, I want to tell you, and I want to also convince myself that there's light at the end of this tunnel. So hopefully, when I see you again, I'll be sounding and feeling a lot better.